Driving Test UK, the short notice driving test specialist.
Hello, my name is Charlie. Currently, the driving examiner will ask you one show me question and one tell me question. Both of these questions will be asked at the beginning of the test. However, as from December 2017, the driving examiner will only ask one tell me question before the driving test. The remaining show me question will be asked during the drive itself. Okay, let's get started with the tell me questions using a Vauxhall Corsa. Tell me how you would check your brakes are working before starting a journey. The brakes should not feel spongy or slack. They should be tested before you set off. The vehicle should not pull to one side. Tell me where you would find the information for the recommended tyre pressures for this car and how tyre pressures should be checked. The information will be in the manufacturer's guide. Use a reliable pressure gauge to check and adjust the tyre pressures when they are cold. Do not forget to check the spare tyre. Tell me how you would make sure your head restraint is correctly adjusted so it provides the best protection in the event of a crash. The head restraint should be adjusted so the rigid part of the head restraint is at least as high as the eye or top of the ears, and it should be as close to the back of the head as is comfortable. Please note that some head restraints are not adjustable. Tell me how you would check the tyres to make sure that they have sufficient tread depth and that their general condition is safe for use on the road. The minimum tread depth should be at least 1.6 millimeters across the central 3/4 of the breadth of the tyre and around the entire outer circumference of the tyre. There should also be no cuts or bulges. Tell me how you would check that the headlights and tail lights are working. You do not need to exit the vehicle for this question. First, have the ignition on. Secondly, turn the light switch clockwise and then explain to the examiner that you would get out and walk around the car. You do not physically need to do this as this is a tell me question. You may also tell the examiner that the green symbol will be displayed on the dashboard. Tell me how you would know if there was a problem with your anti-lock braking system. The ABS warning light will come on if there's a fault with the anti-lock brake system. Tell me how you would check the direction indicators are working. You do not need to exit the vehicle. Explain to the driving examiner that you would on the hazard warning lights and then simply walk around the vehicle and check that each and every indicator is working. As this is a tell me question, you do not physically need to do this. Tell me how you would check the brake lights are working on this car. Explain that you would press the brake pedal, making use of any reflections in windows or doors, or you can simply ask someone to assist you. Tell me how you would check the power assisted steering is working before starting a journey. You should apply and maintain gentle pressure on the steering wheel while starting the engine. This should result in a slight but noticeable movement as the system begins to operate. Tell me how you would switch on the rear fog lights and explain when you would use them. Before switching on the fog light, you will need to on the dipped headlights by turning the dial towards the right. Fog lights must only be used when visibility is below 100 meters. Tell me how you would switch your headlights from dipped to full beam and explain how you would know that the full beam is on. Having the headlights on, you would simply push the indicator stalk away from you. The blue light illuminating on the dashboard indicates that the full beam is on. Open the bonnet and tell me how you would check that the engine has sufficient oil. The lever to open the bonnet is located on the passenger side of the Vauxhall Corsa. Pull the lever and remember to close the passenger door. Walk round the front and lift up the catch. Secure the vehicle and then explain to the examiner. You do not need to do this in the driving test as it's a tell me question. Just explain that you will wipe the dipstick with the tissue and insert it back into place. You will then take the dipstick out and measure that it is between the maximum and the minimum markers. Open the bonnet and tell me how you would check the engine has sufficient engine coolant. Simply point to the engine coolant and tell the examiner that it should be between the maximum and the minimum points. Open the bonnet and tell me how you would check that you have a safe level of hydraulic brake fluid. Once again, having opened the bonnet, simply point to the brake fluid and explain to the driving examiner that it should be between the maximum and the minimum markers. Well, that's the end of the tell me questions. Now let's move on to the show me questions. Bear in mind that from December 2017, these questions will be asked on the move. When it's safe to do so, can you show me how you wash and clean the rear windscreen? Using your right hand, simply push and hold the stalk for a couple of seconds. When it's safe to do so, can you show me how you wash and clean the front windscreen? Once again, using your right hand, pull the stalk towards you for a couple of seconds. When it's safe to do so, can you show me how you would on your dipped headlights? Without looking down, reach for the dial and turn it clockwise. When it's safe to do so, can you show me how you'd set the rear demister? Using your finger, simply press the switch. When it's safe to do so, can you show me how you'd operate the horn? The horn on a Vauxhall Corsa is located on the steering wheel. When it's safe to do so, can you show me how you would demist the front windscreen? Firstly, you must have the air vent facing the window. The fan must be on. The temperature can be set to your own preference. The AC should also be on. When it's safe to do so, can you show me how you'd open and close the side window? The switch to operate the window is on the driver's door armrest. Simply push down the switch to open the window and pull up the switch to close the window. That's the end of the show me tell me questions. Why not improve your chances of passing your driving test by watching these great tips? And please don't forget to subscribe. Now let us celebrate passing your driving test.